We have Councilmember Appel on and Councilwoman Jackson and the mayor.
Okay. All right. All right, so we got a full agenda, a full forum for both recreation and real estate. And this is a joint meeting of the Committee on Recreation, Committee on Real Estate. I'm gonna take the lead and call to order this meeting. And Councilmember Appel, if you would do us the honors of either a moment of silence on invocation, whatever is your preference.
Thank you, Chairman Shade. Let's just go ahead and do a moment of silence today. All right. Appreciate everybody.
I think the day, if I got my dates right, is the anniversary date of the assassination of President Kennedy. Am I right on that? Well, for you younger guys, and us older folks, remember that, unfortunately, was one of the days of where were you when President Kennedy got shot? And I remember it all too well, unfortunately. So keep him in our thoughts and prayers, him and his family. All right, the first order of business is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute on behalf of the city a license agreement between the city of Charleston and the Charleston Boxing Club. Who was going to, Mr. McQueenie, are you going to lead us on that discussion?
Chairman, this is Sterling Halverson. Can you hear me?
No, there you are, Sterling. I was going to call on you, but I didn't recognize your number. Yes.
I'm sorry, I've got my audio and my computer both on at the same time. Okay, so this is a license agreement for use of the first floor of 1099 King Street. As you all know, that's recently been renovated. And the Charleston Boxing Club is a 501c3 nonprofit entity. So the license agreement is between the city and the nonprofit. This is for a 5-year term with one 5-year renewal option. And there would be a fee of $5 for the license agreement. It's a non-exclusive license, which means that the city can use it when the boxing club is not using it for their purposes during operating hours. And the intent is to allow for the neighborhood association to be able to hold their meetings there at night whenever they need to. The hours of operation are going to be from 10 to 6, Monday through Friday. The city recreation staff will have the keys to the building and open and close it on a daily basis. They will be installing the boxing equipment, including ring as well as.
I missed that.
Staff will be overseeing that.
Sterling, you're kind of fading
sorry.
out a little bit on us. I'm sorry.
You said something.
Okay, I'll back up. Did you
we lost you completely. No, ma'am. Sorry. Sterling?
Did she say that they were installing the ring or whatever? I didn't,
I think that's correct, sir. Is Jason not on, is he?
What was that?
Sterling, hold on a second. Sterling, you back with us?
I'm trying again. I think I'm back with you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, so just rewind a little bit about the hours of operation. It's going to be available for civic organizations, neighborhood associations to use the space. And
that's right.
And I think that's where we lost you after that.
Okay, I apologize. The neighborhood association is very interested in using the space. They would also like to use the first floor space because they will be, they've got maybe 10 to 12 people that will be coming to those meetings on a monthly basis. So they won't be using it often, and they'll be using it at night when, nobody else is using it. But the operating hours will be 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m., 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. And they will, I was going to say that the city recreation staff will have the key and open and close the building every day. And then our Parks Department staff will be overseeing the installation of boxing equipment, including the boxing ring and some bags and flooring and things like that. So we're going to make sure that we oversee all of the installation. And that's about it. We've got all of the indemnification and insurance provisions that we would have for any standard license agreement for use of a city building. And we also have, yes,
Not-
sir.
I had two questions.
Hold on for 1 second. Co-chairman Gregory has a question for you.
A couple of questions. They would like to use the first floor for neighborhood meetings. How will that work with the boxing ring taking up 80% of the space?
That's a good question. The boxing ring is going to be positioned toward sort of the center to the back. And so we're going to make sure that there's enough space for about 10 to 15 people to have chairs in the front part of the building. And our Parks Department is going to oversee the sort of the layout of the first floor and where all of the bags are going to be located, because we want to make sure that they're able to come in and set up for their meetings and not have any interference in the way.
And what will the second floor be used for?
That's a good question. The second floor will be, you know, the city's reserved use. So we'll have access to it for city purposes. I don't know if that has been determined yet, what the second floor will be used for. However, why I raised the question is, it was my understanding that the second floor would be used for community meetings. That was my understanding.
Councilmember
It could be
Gregory,
used for,
go ahead, Sterling.
it could be used for any purpose that we need to. However, keep in mind that there's only a steep stairs access. There's no elevator in that building. And so if we have any older people that might want to use the building, or anyone who has needs for access, you know, we will need to use the first floor for those purposes. So the second floor is a little bit tricky because we only have the stair access.
Okay, just wanted to be clear, and I thought that was the reasoning. The second question is, we have a 5 and a 5 year renewal. Why did we stop at the second 5 year, and will it be renegotiable at that time for another 5-5?
We can certainly make it negotiable, and I think we just wanted to make sure that the boxing entity, you know, is getting everything up and running again. And, you know, I think it just gives us time to look at it and make sure everything's operating, you know, as we want it to, make sure they're still in operation in 10 years from now and all that kind of thing.
Okay.
So it's certainly something that we could look at.
Right, I think we should look at that and use the criteria you just articulated in terms of considering extension for another 5 and 5. Because I'd hate for all of us to be gone and someone just says, it's over, see ya.
Good point, Councilmember Gregory. Mayor, did you have a comment? I saw your hand and I saw Councilmember Sacron's hand up. Did you want to make a comment?
I did want to share about the use of the second floor, that the Recreation Department is considering assisting some other mentoring groups and allowing use of the space for folks that are doing mentoring for young kids, and also for after school or recreation programs themselves that they could conduct up there.
Sounds good, sounds good.
Councilmember Sacron?
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to clarify what Councilman Gregory was asking. So right now, the current lease terms are 1 5-year lease term with an extension option, or are we building in those options into the lease?
It currently has a 1 5-year term extension option.
So they got 10 years right now,
Okay.
5 and 5.
Okay. And the other point I was going to make was Mr. Megan is on the call. So if we have any specific questions, he's available.
I was going to recognize him. I saw them. Mr. Megan, thank you for joining us on this. I know your father was an integral part of all of this. Do you have a comment or anything you want to share with us?
First, I'd like to say thank you to the Charleston City Council, also to Sterling for helping assist with the contract work, and of course, Councilman Gregory, Councilman Saccharin, and also the mayor himself and the other committee board members. I thank you guys for your diligence in getting this work completed. We do have plans to start ordering our equipment and also implementing getting the young people back into the gym. Excuse me. And we have plans for that. That's going to be in the very near future. I really want to focus on the usage of the gym. We will have the gym, as per the request, that the gym is also going to be used for the city meetings that they'll have, for the community meetings, pardon me, they'll have per monthly, and we can accommodate that as well. So again, I'm listening to everything that's going on, and I do agree with the Councilman Gregory that we should extend it to look further into the terms of the 5 and 5 to be able to renegotiate. We have roots in the city that we really want to stay ground with that, and also, you know, steadfast in the mission of what my father started, and continuing that. For the kids, I also agree that that'll be a great idea to have a mentoring program or educational program upstairs. That would be something that, you know, he would have probably loved as well, as we had kids doing homework in the gym on the floors and mentoring at that site. That sounds like a great idea. And I thank you guys again, and I'm going to just continue listening to the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us and for those comments. And Councilman McGregor, do we need to do a formal motion to amend? Are you comfortable with what is written and where this may go for the next extension on this?
I would like to recommend that we use the criteria that was just stated in order to go another 5-5. And I think she said if it's up and running, it's in good shape, and blah, 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 blah.
I don't know about blah, blah, blah being a legal term, but
you get the drift.
We can work on the legal terms.
Okay.
We can work on the language.
All right.
I think also it's sort of a mutual thing. I mean, we're presuming that the boxing club wants to use it as well. That's one presumption. And two, that they're still operating the way that they want to be operating, and the other criteria that Councilmember Gregory and Sterling mentioned. So let's work on the blah, blah, blah stuff on that. Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
So having worked on a couple of leases before, you could very simply just say for 3 additional 5-year terms, and that would solve it. And that would give them the initial 5-year term, and then the option to renew it 3 more times for a total of 20 years.
That may cover it. Okay.
I know you leases in your life, Mayor. Just a few.
Because it says upon the same terms and conditions, nobody in default, blah, blah, blah. It's got the blah, blah, blah there already.
Yes. Okay, perfect.
So there was a motion to seek to amend item 2 of the license agreement for an extra, I think, extra 5-year options.
Two 5-year options.
2 5-year
I'll
options.
second.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay. All right. All those any further discussion? All those in favor of that one amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Very good. Thank you all for all the hard work that was done on that. And it's unfortunate that the second floor can't be better utilized, but we got to work on a way. Maybe we could figure that out sometime down the road. Councilwoman Waring.
Listen, I want to thank everybody. I did a tour of that facility about a month or so ago, and it's fabulous on the inside. I mean, downstairs, upstairs, the improved playground in the back. I mean, just wonderful job for everybody on that. I did have a question, and maybe you all covered this before I signed in. I think the building was going to be named after Ms. Reverend Alma Dungy. Do we have a dedication date set up? It'd be great for her to see that while she's still amongst us. So I just want to do we have a ribbon cutting or anything set up on that?
we did do something.
We did the sign already, but I think that we've ordered another sign that will go on the building as well. I could be wrong, but we can check on that.
It'd be great for at least somebody.
It's already designated, Reverend Dungy, as the park. There's a City of Charleston sign already that we had a little dedication. When was it, Councilmember Gregory? It must have been over a year or so ago.
At least, yes.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of like a groundbreaking kind of thing. It'd
Yeah.
be great. It'd be good for her to come by and see all the improvements in place. Anyway.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Gregory, was this the only item or what other item is joint with the Recreation Department on our agenda? Is the aquarium part of your,
No.
or the St. Andrews Park and Playground?
Well, yes.
All right, so we can skip and make an amendment that we take number E if you want to go to that one next.
Okay, is Jason on the line? Or anybody from Parks?
Mr. Kronsberg?
I don't see him.
Our Laurie?
Lori?
I don't see her either.
Well,
Well, I'll entertain a motion that we take item E out of our order and go to that. If you're willing to do that, do you want to wait for them to show up?
okay, sure. Let's go
Second.
on.
Okay, all right, we're going, all those in favor of going to item E? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Item E is approval of a facility rental between the city and St. Andrews Park and Playground to rent 4 lanes of pool space for the SMRTU swim team. So is there anybody trying?
Move for approval, Mr. Chair.
Second.
All right, any further discussion?
No.
Do we need anybody from Recreation or Department or Parks? All right.
Councilman Shade, I just want to point out, I've got Lori Yarber on the phone. She thought the meeting was tomorrow, but she has nothing to add.
Okay. Very good. All right, let's see. Did we vote? I forgot with the
No,
interruption.
not yet. Not yet.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying yay.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, very good. Is that it for recreation part of this meeting? I'm not trying to kick you off, but
Oh, don't worry, you won't. I think that's it.
well, recreation committee members, my fellow colleagues, you're all welcome to hang around and add to our discussion. Glad to have you, but we're going to move on to
Lori,
we're going to move on to this big old fish pond we have over here on the other side of the river. So
Y'all have a wonderful rest of your
Mr.
meeting.
Chairman, the executive commissions have been deferred over, right? So you're not bringing those up tonight or today?
That's correct.
yeah, those have been deferred. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
Yeah. Exactly. Thanks for bringing. Thanks for
Right.
that.
Thank
I'll
y'all.
see many of y'all later on, and those I don't see you tomorrow in person. Thanks for joining in.
See you tomorrow.
Thank
I
you.
wanted to say thank you to all the councilmen. Thank you guys for, again, your diligence and your help with the Charleston Boxing program. We love you guys, and I hope you guys have a happy holidays, and I'll see you shortly. God
Mr.
bless.
Megan, I may come by and pay you a visit on that facility one day this week.
Not a problem.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Everybody have a good Thanksgiving. All right, we're moving on to item B now, which is the ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute on behalf of the city a lease agreement between the city of Charleston and the South Carolina Aquarium regarding the lease of the.
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
All right, and Sterling, are you still on?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay.
I can give a brief overview of the lease terms if you'd like, and I know we've got the aquarium folks here to give a presentation as well.
Right. So once you do a little tee up, and they can then drive the ball down the fairway for us.
Okay, great. This is a long-term lease for the Charleston Maritime Center building. It's for a portion of the building. Mainly the downstairs is what's going to be renovated, but there is a little bit of, right outside the footprint, they're going to be using a little bit of outdoor space as well. We do not have design or architectural plans quite yet, but we do have some drawings that they've provided. So that will give the outline of the premises for now, and then we'll have the opportunity to go back and remeasure after the building is built to make sure that we have the appropriate accurate square footage and everything like that. The lease does not include the docks or the parking lot or the grounds or walkways around the building. So it's really just a portion of the building as well as a little bit of the footprint or the area right around the footprint of the building. The initial term will end on July 6th of 2045. There is one 25-year renewal option. The term, the rent payment is $1 per year. They will be using this for educational programming purposes as well as special events. The city will also have the option to use the facility after hours for special events if it doesn't interfere with the aquarium's use. The city will maintain the structural elements of the building, and the tenant, the aquarium, will be responsible for maintaining its interior portions of the premises for their improvements. The renovations they have planned are estimated to be about $5 million. They've agreed to flood-proof the entire ground floor of the building in the course of doing the renovations, as well as removing and dispensing of the ice machine and other things that might be needed if that applies to what their plans are. They're going to coordinate all phases of the design and construction with the city. We're going to have an assigned project manager for this, and they'll be sort of overseeing and coordinating with the aquarium on the construction plans. And then we do have operating expenses which will include their pro rata share based on their square footage for utilities, trash removal, taxes, and property insurance. And this lease is going to be contingent on their receipt of all the funding that they need in order to do the renovations, as well as receipt of all of the governmental and city approvals that they need for their construction project. So that's sort of it in a nutshell, and I'll let them take it from here to show you what the design plans look like as what they have so far.
Okay. Mr. Mills, you want to take that golf ball and drive it a little bit further for us now?
Well, you cut us off if we go on too long, Councilmember Shade. And fellow council members, Mayor Tecklenburg, thank you for receiving us today. We did think it might be helpful just to briefly revisit why we have interest in creating this value for our community in transforming the facility into a learning laboratory. And so if you'll indulge me, I'm going to call up a deck here and share it. And hopefully you can all see this.
On my screen, you kind of bleeding off of here for a reason.
Huh. Let me just reboot it then one more time.
Okay.
Any better?
We have nothing now.
Oh, all right.
Try it again.
Yeah, I'll close it out all the way. All right, apologies, it's loading back up. All right.
There you go. Thank you.
Fantastic.
That's better.
Better. Yes, sir.
That's better. Thanks.
Thank you. So just to share with you, it's been a couple of years since we last discussed this, thanks to the pandemic, but wanted to remind everyone that the core premise behind this transformation is really our education mission. And for 20 years now, 20 plus years, we've been served by a STEM standards program that has provided free education to kids from around the state, K through 12. It aligns with state and national standards. And the only challenge with this program has been its popularity. We have given intentionally a priority to kids from Title I schools or kids with preponderance of free and reduced lunch program students. And yet, even at this time, we're still turning away effectively 2 kids for every 1 kid that applies through their school system. So we saw the opportunity just around the corner to remedy this problem. And as we dug deeper, we realized that not only can we provide that service to all the kids that were applying, but also do so much more with that space, both for the aquarium's educational programming, but as well as for the benefit of the community. So I'm going to ask Courtney Lewandowski, who's on our call. She's our Chief Advancement Officer, to share with you just a couple of examples of the breadth of this renovation and what we'll provide to members of our community.
Thanks, Kevin. So we'll just go through these briefly. I think most of you on this call are really familiar with our education programming, but this is really an opportunity to take it a lot further. The Maritime Center will become the home for our teen programming, which is really kind of paid important dividends to our community in the past with our high school internship program. But now we'll be launching two separate teen programs. One is the Teen Conservation Corps, which is an opportunity to get these kids out in the field, learn conservation, resilience, planning, to take those ideas and that education back to their own communities, as well as the Teen Science Cafe, which is a really celebrated program that we piloted even in the pandemic 2020 year, where we get students together with working biologists, researchers, scientists, and engineers, that they can understand what the path forward is to STEM fields. We also anticipate working with a number of community partners that need access to a facility. So we're talking to social services organizations, obviously working in close collaboration with the International African American Museum, as well as Charleston Promise neighborhood, to make sure that this classroom facility is not just animated by our own STEM programs, but that we're also reaching into other community partners to make it accessible to them year round. We also plan to work closely with our partners at the Department of Natural Resources, NOAA, other agencies that execute real-time field work, and make the Maritime Center the embarkation point for a lot of that research activity. It's a great opportunity to turn the work of those scientists into good storytelling for students of all ages that's happening in real time, literally coming in from the field and talking about the water quality studies and resilience planning that they're doing in Charleston Harbor. And then finally, I think a number of you have actually been to our adult lecture series, our Holland Lifelong Learning Program, but we anticipate Maritime Center being a new location, a venue to expand those programs so that we reach an even broader audience with those programs that we've done so well with over the past several years.
Great, thanks, Court. I don't know if there are any questions, but we'll keep plowing through. I think it's important to share that when we imagine spending $5 million in the renovation of the building, it's not only the creation of classrooms on the first floor, as well as extending in front of the building, but also a cosmetic renovation of this really beautiful structure that's now 25 years old and is in need of refurbishment. So inside and out, we'll be working. You'll see on this end of the building the reference to a cafe, and here's another image. This is the side that faces the museum. That's not actually the space the aquarium will be leasing, but I know the museum has expressed interest in operating and staging a cafe operation out of that segment of the building, and we would certainly support that. It would be an ideal location to serve Gala cuisine as well as sustainable seafood that could pay off the mission of both institutions. So here's a glimpse of the first floor conceptual design as it stands today. Bear in mind that as soon as we sign the lease agreement after the second reading, we will be working earnestly with our architect to more fully imagine this space and working very closely with city staff. But as you can see on the first floor, over to the right is where the museum will be. This is where the cafe would be posited. And then the space in the blue is the space that the aquarium would actively manage through the lease agreement. So what is now largely unconditioned space, including the large walk-in freezer, becomes classroom space, opening up to the harbor front out beyond, as well as an outdoor classroom that borders the walkway. And then where the ice machine currently exists, we're positing an addition here that would demolish the ice machine and build a two-story structure that could provide for animal holding for those ambassador animals that would support our educational programming, as well as administrative space and certainly restrooms for all the children, as well as the general public that would be visiting during daytime and nighttime. We would also rebuild restrooms for the transient boating community, which is in this little green nook on the south side of the building. And then that addition will extend into the second floor with additional space for meetings, for education, and likely some administrative space for the education team that would work predominantly out of this location. You'll see all the city space identified in green, and then the white space is the space that is anticipated to continue to be occupied over time by the museum, which could also obviously operate educational programming out of this location as well. And just to point out the obvious, the Maritime Center then really becomes really a fifth jewel in this cultural neighborhood called Aquarium Wharf. So in the upper left, you have the College of Charleston now in the Fountain Walk building, bordered by the aquarium, the Fort Sumter Museum, the International African American Museum, which is far beyond this photo in terms of its development, and then the Maritime Center. And that Maritime Center facility really operates as a gateway to the pending redevelopment just south. And so I know you're all aware that the long-term ambition for the city has been to bridge the waterfront park district to the south with a walkway along the water that would join this cultural district up above. And the Maritime Center then becomes really the front door, the gateway to that new Aquarium Wharf district, and an identifier that you've gone through mixed use, retail and residential into a new destination. So we'll pause there and see if you have any questions or thoughts. I will share that timeline-wise, because of the pandemic, we've moved back the reopening or the opening date for this renovation to mid-2024. We have a lot of work to do to make sure that we get this right in terms of waterproofing, in terms of state-of-the-art education, and in terms of serving all of our community partners' needs. And we still have some money to raise. We raised $2 million, although we're ramping up our efforts right now, and we're confident we'll get to the $5 million well before the construction start in mid-2023. So now this time I'll really pause. Any questions?
Yeah, Kevin, thank you for putting that visual for us. It really does make knitting it all together for us. If you can go back, well, never mind. The city will have the option of using this space if it doesn't conflict with the mission of the aquarium or during the hours of the aquarium. And you did mention something about the International African American Museum having interest upstairs. How does this renovation project tie into potential uses that the city may have for this property? What would do y'all envision that to entail, if anything?
And Peter, I'm sorry, the question is with respect to the museum?
Well, you got the museum space upstairs, which we're going to probably have for further discussion, but you could do some innovation work. Is anything that you're going to do going to either impede or enhance, I guess is the word I'm looking for, what may or may not be available on the second floor for optional use or options to use it for different reasons?
It's a great question. I mean, I think by refurbishing the building cosmetically and its exterior, it becomes a more appealing destination for anyone that comes for any reason. And certainly over time, we're willing to work very directly with the city as well as the museum as it occupies the second floor and making that a destination of some sort as well. I know the museum still, embarked on getting its main facility open. So we don't really know how they fully imagine to use that space upstairs. We'll be in this process, the design process, conceptual and advanced design development for the next 12 to 15 months roughly. So there'll be time to integrate all of that into the progress.
Yeah, I don't want something to happen that precludes options, I guess. But I think, you got a ways to go still. So that's the dialogue is still being maintained open for continued discussions on this collaboration part of it.
Yeah, and everything we shared it is preliminary at this point, and of course we want this to work for everyone in every direction. So we're looking forward to being very close partners in the design process.
Thanks. Mr. Mayor, your hand's up.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Kevin and Courtney, for the presentation. I must admit I felt a little ouch when you said the building was now 25 years old, because I worked on this project when I worked for the city in the 90s, and wow, time flies, doesn't it, when you're having fun. But I just want to say what a win-win-win this one is, this proposal before us today, because as Kevin notes, the building has some age to it. And importantly, on the first level, where the majority of their improvements occur, it's basically garage space in a way right now. It's covered, but due to the former FEMA designation of the property, that was basically all the city could do with it. And, to maintain our dock usage, to enhance the aquarium educational programs and connect y'all more directly to the water, to continue to be able to offer space upstairs to the African American Museum, to continue our little office where we manage the marina, to have the possibility for a little retail space there. I mean, it's just a great combination of uses. In Councilmember Shade, the thought of the city being able to use the facility when it did not conflict with the aquarium was if we had some community event or maybe some staff retreat or some other event we wanted to have down at the Maritime Center, that we wouldn't be restricted. We'd still be able to have use of the property under the right timing and coordination with the aquarium and with the museum. I think it's going to add to the vibrancy of course, the African American Museum is going to greatly add to the vibrancy, but this also adds to the vibrancy of the waterfront there and the connectivity. I don't see a downside to this in any aspect. I'm sorry the pandemic set us all back a little bit and moving this forward. So thanks for sticking with it. Thanks for being willing to invest $5 million in one of our properties. And I think it's a terrific collaboration. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, sir, Councilmember Waring.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Mr. Mayor. As a matter of fact, the International African American Museum is elevated some 13 feet. And it's designed such that when the building is closed, it still will have a public use underneath. So that patio, if you will, underneath that goes all the way out to the waterfront and borders the Maritime Center, I could see where fundraisers can potentially extend from the Maritime through that area if done properly. So, more power to you, Kevin, and your team. Let me ask, how many square feet would be classroom space?
I want to say around 5,000, but I'll let Brian or Jack from my team answer.
Thank you. I think you're right. It's about 5,000 square feet, Kevin.
I think that'll be great. I just think that's great. All right, I'm ready to vote.
All right. Well, I just wanted to say that I'm excited about this prospect because, and I think either the mayor said it or Kevin said it, this is a jewel of a piece of property. When you go particularly to the second floor of this building, I'm kicking my camera, I'm sorry. It is a magnificent part of our inventory, and it needs to be made available to the public, more public access to it. And the downstairs part looks like a garage to me. It's just a unused space, and for the aquarium to put in $5 million investment into it is a lot to refurbish it for public use. So I love this partnership that we're having with the aquarium. Thank you all for joining in on all this. And we'll see what happens to the second floor later. That's another discussion, obviously, but thank you all for those who've been working on this idea. Councilmember Appel, I knew you weren't going to remain silent much longer.
Been trying my best to keep it all in, and I appreciate the recognition. I'm going to keep the love fest going here. Kevin, thank you so much for that presentation. Courtney, you as well, and your entire team. This is such an exciting project. I've been following it since we first talked about it shortly after I got elected, and it's great to see this come to fruition. And I know sometimes working out the details with the staffs can sometimes be a little bit time consuming, but I'm glad we're here. I am a humongous supporter of the aquarium and everything y'all do. I'm very passionate about the outdoors and, you know, our nature and wildlife and everything like that. And y'all do such a great job. And the fact that y'all are going to be able to expand your footprint, serve more people in the community, improve this waterfront piece of property the city owns is just fantastic. So I couldn't be more enthusiastic to vote for this tonight. And I appreciate everybody's participation in bringing this forward. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna call it into the Love Fest so we can vote. All those in favor of approving item B signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it unanimously. Thank y'all, Courtney and Jack and Kevin, and I hope I didn't miss anybody, for y'all's work on this. I appreciate y'all's commitment, and have a great, if I don't see some of y'all, have a great Thanksgiving, and you can hang on with the rest of the meeting if you want to, but we're gonna move on to item C now. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Appreciate the support.
Thank y'all. Brian, thank you. All right, item C is a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a temporary access easement in a form approved by the city legal department for Beach Fenwick on a portion of northern Pitchfork Road.
Move for approval.
All right. Is there a
Second.
All right, Julia, are you going to add anything to this wonderful discussion?
I will certainly
The rest
try.
of your team has been carrying the load for you today, ma'am. So I'm going to put you to
I
work.
know. I love it. I love seeing everybody out there getting things done. I'm going to share a screen with you guys just to help move this along, hopefully. So this is, hold on a minute. That's not right.
That's an interesting screen.
That's not what I meant to share with you, dang it.
That's another interesting screen.
Well, let's close that one.
Let's close this one. Hold on. Let me try this again. My apologies.
That's 2 strikes, Julia. One more, and you'll be called out at home plate.
Okay, here we go. So this is a depiction of the Pitchfork Road. Can you see that, the green area here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Beach Company has started clearing their portion of the property down here where my arrow is. And this is just an emergency measure for them in their mind as they continue with construction. Their concern is if the county does not proceed with building the Pitchfork by right now, the trigger date we have on this easement agreement is September 1st, 2022. If the county does not begin in earnest construction of this Pitchfork, what Beach Company would like to be able to do is start the road plans using the county road plans, building up to their first access here. And then once the county begins, that construction would stop so that they're not technically in the county's way. We've been trying to reach out to the county to get their sign off on this. We want them to be aware of what we're talking about. Hence why the agenda item says upon legal review and approval, and also upon county consent. We want to make sure everybody's on board with what we're trying to do here. So essentially, if you look at right now, the terms of the easement agreement, for the trigger, we have specific instructions. Prior to constructing the new road, is what we're calling it, they would need to get city buy-off through TRC to make sure we approve the plans. We would need to get consent from the county before they would start this construction. And we're still working out the details about whether or not or how reimbursement would be worked out for the money they've spent toward building this access road.
So this is going to help facilitate moving this project down the road that the counties are working on with the Pitchfork. That's the bottom line with this.
Correct.
Okay.
And I have Beach Company on the line as well, their engineer and their lawyer, if you guys have any additional detailed questions about the project itself and what they intend to do. Any
further discussion or questions for the Beach Company folks? I recognize one of those faces on that screen. The guy in the tan jacket, we don't ask him any questions at all, okay? Hey, Alan. Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
I was just curious, have they commenced any discussions with the county yet, the beach company?
We have reached out and we're waiting to have those discussions. We have not heard back yet, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
But Alan, this is going to help push this thing forward, which y'all been waiting for. Is A fair
Yes,
statement?
yeah, we think so, Peter, we do. And as Ms. Copeland alluded to, this is a stopgap measure. From what we understand, Pittsburgh's moving forward, but this would just be an emergency measure, and I think it will help advance it.
Good. All right. Excellent. All right. Any further questions, discussion? Ready for the vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, we'll move this on to council meeting tomorrow and Ways and Means. And we appreciate seeing the smiling faces from the beach company. Thanks for joining us, guys. Have a good Thanksgiving if I don't see y'all. Take care. All right. Item D is request approval to accept a
Thanks.
bronze sculpture from Mary White. Do we have a picture of this sculpture? Anybody?
I'm gonna move for approval.
I'll second.
All right.
I do have a picture of it if you would like to see.
I've
Yeah.
seen it. Looks nice.
Please.
It's kind of small. That's a side angle of it. Can you see that?
Yes.
And then this wasn't what you would call professional photography, so I apologize for that. Let's see, I got one more. Let's see. Did you get that one? Is that
Got
the
that
same?
one. Yep.
Same. Looks the
Okay.
same.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
Mr. Mayor, is this already installed somewhere else? Where are you?
So she's had it in storage. Mary White is the
There it
artist.
is. That's a different one.
Y'all know Mary, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So she's mostly known, of course, as a
Painter.
painter, and
There
she
you go.
did, that's the other one.
Yeah.
She did this sculpture about 15 years ago of a young African-American girl named Lily. And very interesting to me that now Lily is a senior at the Citadel. And so I think it'd be really cool when we put this in place to have Lily come and maybe do a testimonial of her leadership and her accomplishments. But anyway, so Mary had it in this garden at Church Street, and some years ago just put it in storage. And so Jason Kronsberg and I went and saw it in the storage shed, and they measured it, and we scouted out a spot. You can't see her face well here, but she's having a very delightful, happy time. And there's a spot kind of overlooking the fountain at Waterfront Park where the kids, have such a happy time that we think would be a good location for it. And then we can maybe even do a little plaque about it, thank Mary White for her donation and say a word or two about Lily. So anyway, I think it's a wonderful gift, and I feel like we could stand to do a little more public art in the city. So this is just another occasion to do so.
Are there any restrictions or terms on this? This will be a permanent structure?
She wants us to maintain it. She wants us, to periodically clean it and maintain it. That's the only restriction.
Very good.
And it's not an unreasonable one.
No. Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you. What you were describing, Mayor, I think this is wonderful, beautiful, for all the right reasons. Where you were saying it was located, though, reminds me that there's a hardly distinguishable plaque to Robert Smalls somewhere right there as you leave the gallery and walk toward the fountain. And I think we're sort of on, maybe intentional record. I don't remember any votes about this to make more of a memorial to Senator Smalls. So don't forget about that, please.
All right.
Okay, duly noted. All right, ask you, any further discussion on item D? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. We have one annexation for District 5.
Move for
Anybody from planning on here? Councilmember
Mr.
Waring has
Chairman.
moved for approval. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second. Mr. Morgan.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. It's a single-family residence in District 5. It's on about a half acre.
Okay. Well, thank you for that detailed report, Mr. Morgan.
Simple and sweet.
All those in favor of approving the annexation at 326 Gades Avenue, District 5, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. The other two items on our agenda being deferred for a full city council discussion and executive session. Seeing there's no further business, I'm going to yield.
Chairman Shea,
Yes, ma'am.
did you want to go back and approve the minutes from November 8th?
No, but I will.
I'll move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right. Now, there being no further business, and I'm going to give Councilmember Waring 8 extra minutes to get ready for
No, man.
Public Works meeting, so we can take a break. And I'll adjourn this meeting, and I'll see a good portion of you guys in about 5 minutes or so.